Okay, so I don't feel as negative about this season, but I still definitely feel like I crossed a point that I can't really recover from, where too much happened, and that I can't really keep up with it. Because as I was watching this season, I remember that, hey, wait a sec. Zod actually appeared on this show before, and I can't figure out how he went from a Zod before to the Zod here now, just like how we had a Kara in season 3, and then we have the real one. So, what the heck is up with that? You know? But, I do feel more positive about this for the most part because, Clark had to make a whole bunch of new decisions that were interesting. But as I said, since I jumped past that point, I couldn't really keep track of all that. Having to try and manage Zod, who wasn't 100% evil, that was a nice touch. Tez becoming more likable, I enjoyed that. Even though they introduced a few more comic book characters like Hawkman and that Justice Society, it didn't feel as bad than introducing Amanda Weller, who's a DC character that regularly causes problems, at least in the Batman universe. Yeah, interesting touch there. Um, Introducing a story arc between Chloe and Oliver, which I didn't see coming, but as I'm watching it, I'm like, okay, I 100% admit that this couple came out of nowhere, and I should be complaining about it for coming out of nowhere and not really having a good beginning. But here's the thing. Once I actually saw them in that situation, I'm like, I buy this. Like, what? Huh? But that was a nice bit, along with all of Oliver's episodes, even though it did kind of contract from what Clark was having to deal with, but it reinforces another strength of this show. They do try to give tons of story arc to characters that aren't Clark, and they actually have it work. And then bringing back Martha into her own little secret identity role. Kind of random, but at the same time, interesting there, and making Perry a little less of a dick. You know, that's nice because he is supposed to be in charge of the Daily Planet, so they gotta put him in there somehow. Right. And what else to mention here? Because I've just done a whole bunch of overview stuff. Giving Jor-el a role in here again, even though I don't think it was as big as it was before. It's nice to see that again because, as I said, in season 8, it seemed like they were doing things a little differently with him. This feels normal, so that's appreciative. And then the more explanation they give as to what things happen on Krypton in this universe, because they haven't done that, because that's not what it's about. It's a more realistic universe, even though with all the comic book things that they've introduced, they've gotten past the it feels completely identifiable but still like the characters, so we continue with it. Yeah, I appreciate what they're trying to do, even though, as I have said, I'm definitely missing something and will greatly benefit from a rewatch of this show. Oh yeah, and doing a little bit more with that Navigator guy from the new Battlestar Galactica show on Emily or Emil, I think they're calling him in here. It's a nice little sidekick touch, although have you noticed that it seems like they're bringing in quite a lot of people from the new Battlestar Galactica show? It's crazy how many people that they've brought from that show in here, but it's also crazy just how many people from other works of media that I've been able to identify this whole time. While I've been watching this show, I've been putting things on my Snapchat to let people know, hey, I know this person, that kind of a thing. Or even if I don't know them, I'm like, this guy really has a feel that I'm supposed to know who he is, but I don't. Because I looked up the guy who gets like the kryptonite heart early in this season, and apparently he's in I literally just lost the name, but he's a well-known guy who appears on like Beverly Hills. There we go. Right. So that's an interesting touch to this show that I think does deserve a mention. Yeah, I'd say that's the good stuff for this season. The bad stuff, it all just kind of blends together, and I've already said it over the last few videos that I've lost the feel for this show, unfortunately. Didn't totally get Zod and all the bits that we were dealing with on his. And you're going to want to check out the comments in the last video for how I felt about them killing off a Jimmy. I definitely should have mentioned that in the video. Sorry about that. Oh yeah, and then Clark and Lois, and how they're going for the repetitive bits about pushing her away, bringing them back together, and then her figuring out that Clark is superpowerific again. Annoying, but they got to do something with the relationship. Like if she just blindly sits on the side and doesn't really accomplish anything, then it's like, why bring her here, you know? And now that she is the sole love interest of Clark, I guess you have to do something, right? Oh yeah, and then the black outfit. It's odd, but there's a part of me that really digs that look, because, you know, he's not Superman. And they said, like, at the beginning of the show that you weren't going to see the tights, so you kind of have to do something, and since that blur personification of him, whatnot, has built up, I guess he has to do something, you know? And given how a lot of Zod's people seem to be dressed similarly, although I honestly think that's just coincidence, it gives you an interesting feel, you know? And while how that was resolved felt a little odd, I think that fits in with how this show is, you know, throwing various curveballs at me and surprising me in quite a few ways with a lot of these cliffhangers, because I think just about every season has ended on some kind of a cliffhanger. So as I said, it was better than last season, still feeling odd about it, but there's some good things here, and I will, without question, greatly benefit from a rewatch of it. Well, I've only got one more season. Here's to hoping that the show goes out on a good note, and I'm really curious to see how this all wraps up. Along with what happens to Chloe. Yeah, what the heck?